Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. This is a look at our market leading stocks for the coming session. This is going to be for expiration Friday, June 20th, 2014. Let's keep in mind this is a quadruple witching, so it's going to have a little extra impact. As you can see, we've got a fair amount of downside conditions indicated from the scans in the Nasdaq sector. So Nasdaq side of the market definitely has been weaker all day. We've got a fair amount of volume bumps. We've got one in Adobe. Got one in Amazon, we've got one in Google, got one in Juniper, and Juniper's actually cracking to the downside fairly hard today. We've got a volume bump also in Tesla, and Tesla has a contra candle. Sign is also notably weak and very, very weak this afternoon, getting pushed well below the day's VWAP. Moving on to the financials, we've got an absence of signals for the most part. A couple deviations to note. Visa's got a volume bump. Sallie Mae is extremely weak today, almost 4% below the day's open. And ICE, the exchange, ICE is almost 3% below the day's VWAP on fairly decent volume. Moving on to the energy names, Arch Coal's got an upside CPS. We've got a contra candle setting up in BP. We've got a volume bump in Valero. That one's pretty strong. That's 2% above the day's open. We've got a downside CPS in RIG on light volume. Moving on to the market generals, we're paired off here, so we've got a different condition here than the Nasdaq side. The Nasdaq side of generals was pretty weak. We don't have any outright deviations, so we might get a volume bump in GE with an upside CPS. Finally, the housing names theme here is very, very light volume. We've got a downside CPS in DHI, and also one in Lowe's LOW. FedEx after earnings a couple days ago, still following through with volume. That one's pretty strong still. And as far as the commodities go, a lot of action in the commodities. Gold's up 40 plus handles today, so we're seeing volume in most of the precious metals names. We've got a volume bump in Newmont. We've got one in Double G, one in Silver Wheaton, and also ABX. Got a volume bump too in Mosaic. That one's not a precious metal stock. That's a fertilizer stock. That one does have an upside CPS to go with it. Not a lot of upside continuation signals right now in the gold names. In fact, a lot of them are putting up RPSs, so I doubt we're going to see follow through from the GDX type stocks tomorrow. The XAU index is very extended, and this is perhaps a little bit of a blow off or a climax here to the upside. So definitely keep that in mind. We've got the RPSs to back that up also with the volume bumps. All right, folks, as always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.